They never saw it coming. Earth's astronomers had detected anomalies in the outer solar system for months. Faint energy surges, gravitational distortions, and unusual radio bursts. Yet no one anticipated the sudden emergence of an alien armada on the far side of Pluto's orbit, hidden by cosmic debris until it was almost too late. The day they arrived, everything changed. At first, governments across the globe scrambled to communicate. In every major language, they beamed welcomes, warnings, threats. Yet no reply came, only the slow, inevitable advance of enormous vessels gliding closer to Earth. Telescopes revealed ships shaped like elongated crescents, black holes gleaming with ominous silver veins. Even then, humanity refused to panic. Perhaps some dared to hope these visitors meant no harm. That hope died when the first volley struck Mars. Long-range satellites captured the horrifying moment. A beam of dark energy soared from the leading alien ship, piercing the thin Martian atmosphere. A newly constructed research outpost on the planet's surface vanished in an instant. 10,000 human lives gone. The Armada broadcast their first and only message: "Aid the Dominion, kneel or be consumed." They had come to conquer. From the ashes of that first attack rose defiance. Bound by a shared terror, every nation on Earth united in purpose. Mankind would resist to the last breath. Soldiers mobilized, scientists toiled, engineers devised frantic defenses, and diplomats pleaded for any hint of negotiation. Still, the Dominion ships glided forward, implacable in their path. The war that followed would reshape the destiny of both humanity and the galaxy. This is the story of how Earth refused to break, and how, in rising to the greatest challenge of its history, humanity proved it was far more than a mere upstart species on the cosmic stage. Lieutenant Commander Aaron Duvall had never seen Earth's moon so alive. The once peaceful sea of tranquility now bristled with weapons emplacements, railgun batteries, and half-finished bunkers carved into regolith. The Earth-Luna Defense Coalition was desperate to transform the moon into a bastion against the approaching threat. An entire generation's worth of progress crammed into a few feverish months. On the horizon, she spotted lines of robotic construction drones ferrying crates of ammunition along the dusty plain. She guided her rover across a rough stretch of terrain, tires kicking up a faint plume of lunar soil. Time was short. The Dominion fleet would reach Earth's orbit in mere weeks. Stop, she told herself. Focus on the next step. A crackle sounded in her comm. Duval, this is Command. Report to the bunker entrance. Incoming shuttle from Earth. High Priority passenger. On my way, she replied curtly. She tried to shake off the dread that stalked her every move. So many nights she'd awaken drenched in sweat, dreaming of that Martian outpost destruction. The faces of people she knew, scientists, explorers, flashed through her mind, all gone in a single devastating beam of unimaginable power. Yet in these nightmares, she always found an ember of fury. That fury fueled her determination. If the Dominion wanted Earth on its knees, they would pay dearly for every inch of ground. When she reached the bunker's yawning airlock, a sleek shuttle was just settling onto the dust. Its engines hissed, vents expelling a halo of pressurized air. The ramp lowered, revealing a tall figure clad in black and gray body armor. His hair was cropped close, and his expression was grim. She recognized him instantly. Colonel Damian Hall, a decorated officer from Earth's Special Research Command. Lieutenant Commander, he said in a deep baritone, we don't have much time. A secure steel case hung in his gloved hand. Aaron saluted out of habit. What's in the case, sir? He offered a wry half-smile. Something that might keep us alive. Show me the way to the Central Command post, please. As they walked across the bunker's threshold, an industrial elevator took them downward. Hall explained that his mission was classified until they reached a secure briefing chamber. She caught hints of tension in his posture. Colonel Hall was rumored to be unflappable, yet there he was, eyes darting with subdued urgency. 3 floors below the lunar surface, they stepped into a steel-walled briefing room lined with holographic projectors. A cluster of senior officers waited: General Antonio Yao, Admiral Greg Hollister, and a handful of top scientists. Hall set the steel case on the table with a decisive thunk. General Yao nodded at Aaron. Lieutenant Commander, you'll want to hear this as well. You'll be leading part of the field operation. Aaron's gut twisted. Understood, ma'am. Colonel Hall opened the case. Inside lay a compact device no larger than a hardback book. It glowed faintly with a swirling dark blue energy. Around it were intricately arranged coils and a tangle of small cables. "This," Hall said, voice taut, "is the Guardian Protocol. It's derived from the only captured fragment of Dominion technology we've managed to retrieve so far." "How did we even get that?" Admiral Hollister asked, crossing his arms. "As far as we know, they haven't set foot on Earth or anywhere in the inner system except Mars." Hall exhaled. "We believe they sent smaller recon probes months before the fleet arrived. One crashed in the Atlantic. Our salvage teams recovered a piece of its core. Using that as a basis, Dr. Cow's team discovered a vulnerability, a frequency that might interfere with Dominion field generators." DK, an older scientist with silver-streaked hair, nodded gravely. "The Dominion's dreadnoughts likely have complex, layered energy shields. Guardian Protocol aims to disrupt those shields from the inside. If delivered effectively, it could open a path for our weapons to deal real damage." Aaron's pulse quickened. That meant infiltration. "Possibly a strike team. So you want me to lead a mission to place this inside a Dominion vessel?" General Yao answered, "Yes. Our intelligence suggests the Dominion will soon dispatch an advanced cruiser to inspect the Luna defenses. We'll attempt to lure that cruiser close, maybe even land troops. You and a specialized squad will board, plant the device, and escape before it detonates. If successful, we crack the cruiser's shields from within." That was a lot of if, but for the first time since the attack on Mars, Aaron felt a spark of hope. Even one Dominion cruiser destroyed would prove that Earth was no easy conquest. "So, are we just testing it on the cruiser?" she asked. Colonel Hall's gaze flickered. "We'll do more than test. If we can hijack the cruiser, it could become humanity's Trojan horse. We pilot it right into the Dominion flagship's path. When the rest of the fleet arrives..." A hush fell over the room. Aaron realized just how audacious this plan was. "So, we're planning to steal an alien warship." General Yao gave a grim nod. "Sometimes, to survive, you must attempt the impossible. Humanity has always excelled at that, Lieutenant Commander." Aaron's lips twitched into a slight smile. "Count me in." A few days later, the Dominion's advanced cruiser appeared in lunar orbit with a silent menace. Observatories caught the faint shimmer of its cloak, fading as it approached the Sea of Tranquility. The craft was massive, nearly a kilometer long, and shaped like an asymmetrical crescent blade. Observers saw swirling lights along its hull, reminiscent of living currents or veins pumping eerie energy. Across the lunar surface, Earth's forces braced. Anti-ship railguns swiveled to track the cruiser. Automated turrets locked on. But the Dominion craft halted just out of range, as though curious. For hours it hovered while scanning beams fanned across the gray dust. Then, almost casually, it descended. Inside an armored hangar carved into a crater's rim, Erin and her infiltration team watched the feed with bated breath. She wore an adaptive camouflage suit, as did the others. They each carried specialized gear with vacuum-capable thrusters, shaped charges, and an interface harness designed by Dr. Cow to connect Guardian Protocol to Dominion systems. Colonel Hall's voice crackled in their earpieces. "The cruiser is touching down at coordinates T2. Our decoy signals are drawing them in. Once it's stable, we'll blow the electromagnetic net to jam their external comm. That's your window." Erin cast her gaze around the troop carrier, 10 souls in her squad. She knew each one by name, rank, and personal story. Private Sadiq had joined after losing family in the Martian outpost. Sergeant Layham was rumored to have confronted a Dominion recon drone bare-handed. Lance Corporal Holmes, the team's engineer, had studied Dominion hull samples so they could breach effectively. Each carried a burden of loss, but also an unyielding fury. "Check your suits," Erin said firmly. "We're doing this for Earth, for all those who can't fight. We do the impossible, or we lose everything." The drop ramp opened. Outside lay the lunar plain, cratered and dusty under a harsh sun. In the distance, the Dominion cruiser silhouette rose like a dark fortress on the horizon. The moment the net activated, arcs of electricity shimmered in the distance, an improvised field that jammed signals in a localized bubble. Perfect infiltration conditions, but time limited. The cruiser would detect the intrusion soon enough. Her team bounded across the lunar terrain in low gravity, thruster packs aiding their leaps. They spread out to approach the cruiser from multiple angles. Erin's heart pounded with adrenaline as she caught her first up-close glimpse. The hull appeared organic, black metal with pulsing silver lines. She could almost sense it breathing. Sergeant Leanne placed a shaped charge along a section that Dr. K had identified as vulnerable. "Ready," she whispered, detonating in 3, 2, 1. A muffled explosion kicked up gray dust. A hole appeared, just large enough for a person to crawl through. Erin led the way, scanning with a multi-spectrum visor. The interior was dimly lit, corridors twisting in unfamiliar geometry. A faint hum of power pulsed through the walls, making her skin prickle. They advanced carefully, stepping on an organic-looking floor that flexed beneath their boots. No immediate sign of crew, though the background noise suggested movement deeper within. She motioned for silence, pointing toward a corridor branching left. "Corporal Holmes, check for Dominion signals. We're picking up ephemeral readings, possibly life signs. Could be their drone guards." Erin nodded. "Stay tight. Leon, you and Sadiq guard our exit route. The rest, follow me." Minutes felt like hours as they traversed the winding passageways. The air smelled of iron and ozone. Bioluminescent patterns flitted across the walls. At intervals, faint clicking or scraping echoed from side chambers. The team pressed on, ascending a spiral ramp that seemed to defy normal gravitational logic. "Commander," whispered Private Sadiq over the comm, "contact at the breach. They've detected us. We have hostiles incoming." Erin's mind raced. They needed to deploy Guardian protocol at the ship's central core. "All right, we'll push forward. Sadiq, keep them busy as long as you can, then fall back if necessary." They pressed deeper. Suddenly, 2 alien drones skittered around a corner, long-gated spiders with razor-edged limbs. Their surfaces gleamed black with swirling silver lines matching the hulls. They lunged. Erin fired a burst from her magnetic accelerator rifle, punching holes in the first drone's carapace. Sparks flew. The second drone dove for her. She rolled aside, letting Sergeant Leon slash it with a vibroblade from behind. Ichor-like fluid spilled onto the floor. "Keep moving," Erin urged. "No time to gawk." Holmes consulted a scanner. "This corridor leads to a power distribution hub. Perfect place to plug in Guardian protocol. Let's..." An impact rocked the ship. She nearly lost her footing. The Dominion was responding, adjusting thrusters or launching some sort of internal defense. A distant corridor twisted, floors realigning as if the vessel itself were shifting shape. "All squads, we need to hustle," Erin snapped. "Holmes, find that console." Soon they emerged into a chamber dominated by a central pillar that glowed with a deep violet light. Thin filament tubes connected it to the walls. Holmes recognized an access node where Dr. Cow's harness could be attached. Sergeant Leon and Erin took defensive positions as Holmes knelt to set up the device. Another drone scuttled in, but Leon pinned it with gunfire. Guardian protocol hummed to life, swirling with dark mu energy. "Synchronizing," Holmes muttered. 15 seconds, maybe 20. 2 bipedal Dominion warriors appeared in a side corridor. They wore sleek suits fused to their flesh, elongated heads with black eyes shining with ruthless intelligence. One raised an arm, launching a crackling energy bolt that forced Erin behind a console. She returned fire and the warrior reeled, but did not fall. Holmes yelled, 5 seconds. Sergeant Leanne hurled a concussive grenade, the explosion slamming the 2 warriors into a wall. They screeched, limbs thrashing. She finished them off with a flurry of shots. Meanwhile, Guardian protocol beeped. Integration complete. Erin radioed the others. "We've done it. Time to exfil. Everyone, to the breach!" They raced back. The corridor flickered as the ship's power fluxed. Multiple drones gave chase, scuttling across ceilings. Sadiq's voice crackled. "We're pinned near the hull opening. Hurry!" At the breach, Sadiq knelt. Behind twisted metal, Dominion troopers advanced. The infiltration team squeezed past, one by one. Through the breach's opening, Erin saw the lunar dust beckoning. But a hulking Dominion warrior lunged, blocking the exit. Its chest glowed with swirling lines. A large, integrated weapon jutting from one arm. Erin slung her rifle. "Cover me!" She drew a shaped charge, dashing forward as her squad hammered the warrior with gunfire. At the last moment, she dove beneath a sweeping blow and slammed the charge on its torso. She scrambled back. Detonate. The explosion blew the warrior's chest apart, drenching the deck in foul-smelling fluids. The brute collapsed with a dying hiss. "Move!" Erin shouted. They burst out, bounding away from the cruiser in lunar gravity. Overhead, the electromagnetic net began to fail. The Dominion vessel, wounded from within, lifted off in an unsteady climb. A second later, arcs of dark poo energy rippled through its hull. Sections peeled away in bursts of alien flame. Erin and her team collapsed onto the dust, panting as the cruiser, half consumed by Guardian protocol, lurched sideways. For a heartbeat, it seemed ready to crash on top of them, but then it climbed several hundred meters before spinning out of control. It vanished behind a rise, slamming into the plane in a spectacular explosion that shook the entire region. Cheers erupted over the comm. Earth had destroyed its first Dominion warship. For Lieutenant Commander Aaron Duvall, that moment felt like destiny. Humans had faced the unstoppable and found a way. After the infiltration success, the Earth-Luna Defense Coalition gained a surge of confidence. Across Earth and the Moon, battered but hopeful soldiers celebrated. For the first time, the unstoppable Dominion had been forced to blink. In a newly constructed underground briefing hall, a hologram replayed the cruiser's demise. The luminous swirl of Guardian protocol spread across the walls as the alien hull fractured. Colonel Hall addressed the gathering of top brass. We lost the chance to capture the cruiser intact, but we proved Dominion technology can be subverted. Our next step is to refine the Trojan horse idea. Maybe find or wait for another cruiser. Then attempt infiltration again. General Yao steepled her fingers. Our success might make the Dominion avoid landing. They'll likely revert to orbital bombardment or keep their distance until the main fleet arrives. Admiral Hollister frowned. Then how do we get close enough to sabotage them? Silence. Dr. Kell cleared his throat. Perhaps we don't wait. We go to them. If we could modify one of our own ships with Guardian protocol, Hall cut in. Our ships can't even reach where the Dominion is forming. The only advanced vessels we have are prototypes in Earth orbit, and they're nowhere near Dominion capabilities. Erin mustered her courage. We do have a captured piece of their warp technology. Could it be integrated into one of our ships, allowing us to jump behind their lines? Hall hesitated. We'd need a stable environment for testing, and even if we succeed, we'll be outnumbered 100 to 1. A new voice spoke from the back. But we'd have surprise on our side. Dr. Suraj Patel stepped forward, an astrophysicist known for unorthodox thinking. I've analyzed their energy signatures. The Dominion organizes around a command carrier at the heart of their formation. If we strike that carrier with Guardian protocol, we might cripple the entire invasion plan. Erin could almost see it. A covert jump behind enemy lines, a single bold sabotage, and a chance at breaking the Dominion's coordination. Madness. But after the Martian massacre, madness might be Earth's only hope. General Yao exhaled. All right, let's see if we can retrofit. Colonel Hall, assemble a team. Duvall, you'll helmet. Dr. Kao, Dr. Pateo, work with engineering to adapt the warp drive. If the Dominion arrives at full strength, we're finished. Thus began a frantic race. While Dominion scouts lurked near the asteroid belt, Earth's best minds converted. A single vessel, codenamed Dawnbringer. A salvage yard in orbit became a secret construction site. Engineers fused Dominion warp coils with Earth's fusion drives. Scientists expanded Guardian protocol. Soldiers drilled infiltration tactics. Erin watched from a battered space station window as sparks flew across Dawnbringer's skeletal frame. She thought of the billions of lives at stake, of families forced into bunkers, of the faces lost on Mars. Sometimes it was too heavy to bear, but she'd seen what humans could achieve when cornered. Even Colonel Hall seemed less guarded, checking progress weekly. He confided that Dominion forces were building forward bases in the asteroid belt. Time was running out. At last, Dawnbringer stood complete. Her hull gleamed in the station's floodlights. Crews sealed in the final plates, tested coil alignment, integrated Guardian protocol at the power core. Dr. Kao seemed hopeful. Dr. Patel paced with final calculations. Everyone knew if the warp jump failed, the ship might be lost in the void. If it worked, they might still face the alien armada alone. No one hesitated. This was bigger than fear. This was survival. Dawnbringer left Earth orbit in secret, skimming the planet's dark side to evade Dominion scouts. Patchwork plating, embedded alien components, sparking with unfamiliar energies. She was no sleek vessel, but she bristled with possibility. Inside, corridors smelled of fresh welds. Crews wore a mix of Earth-Luna uniforms and new mission patches. A rising sun over Earth's curve. On the bridge, Erin took the captain's seat. Colonel Hall handled security. Dr. Cow and Dr. Patel manned the science station. Master Chief Imani Barnes worked the helm. Sergeant Leanne oversaw weapons. Each wore an air of quiet tension. Erin cleared her throat. We have one shot at the warp jump. If it works, we'll appear near the Dominion flagship. Then we deploy Guardian Protocol. Everyone ready? A chorus of nods. She turned to Dr. Cow. Activate the warp coil. He keyed a sequence. Lights flickered as the alien coils drew power. The hull rumbled. On the forward display, a swirl of purple-blue space-time opened like an iris. Erin felt an electric tingle in her bones. Take us in, Chief, she said. Dawnbringer slid forward. For an instant, reality bent. Starlight stretched into jagged lines. A roar filled Erin's ears. Then, with a sickening lurch, they emerged. The view screen cleared to reveal a starfield and a massive gathering of dark crescent ships. Dominion vessels lined up like a cosmic legion. At the center towered the command carrier, easily 10 kilometers in length. Black hull streaked with silver veins. For a beat, no one breathed. Then alarms blared. They've detected us, shouted Hall, weapons locking on. We have to move now, Erin ordered. Barnes, bring us in low behind that carrier. Leon, prep Guardian Protocol. Dawnbringer accelerated. Dominion frigates pivoting to intercept. The command carrier dwarfed them, an immense alien fortress. Laser fire raked their path. Bolts of dark energy streaked toward them. Azif, Erin barked. Barnes rolled the ship, thrusters flaring. Explosions rocked the flank. Hull plating shrieked. Still they pressed on, diving beneath the carrier's ventral surface. The plan was to deposit Guardian Protocol enhanced infiltration code into one of the carrier's docking bays. Docking bay access identified, Hall called. We can force it open with those subroutines. Do it, Erin said. Patel, KO, get Guardian Protocol ready for remote deployment. They swooped near a massive bay door. Hall transmitted infiltration data. The door flickered, then groaned open. Dawnbringer thrust inside, weaving past the pressurized interior. Drones skittered along catwalks, alarmed. Weapons flared, scorching the hull. Deploy the protocol, Erin commanded. A missile-like capsule launched from the underside, trailing cables that tethered it to Dawnbringer's computer. It slammed onto the hangar deck, unfolding to reveal the swirling Guardian device. Alien drones converged, but the device radiated pulses of interference, scrambling their signals. Dr. Cow keyed final overrides, letting the infiltration code worm through the carrier systems. Erin felt that the carrier lurched, arcs of electricity dancing along corridors. Drones collapsed mid-attack. The hull bristled as though struck by lightning. This Trojan infiltration was working, but they needed time for it to sabotage the reactor. Get us out? Hall urged. The bay door was slamming shut. Barnes gunned the engines. Dawnbringer shot forward, scraping past the closing gap. In open space once more, they found half the Dominion fleet bearing down. Explosions racked them. A console blew out near Hall, burning his arm. On screen, the Dominion carrier's core flickered with violent pulses. Cracks webbed across its hull. Secondary explosions blossomed. Erin's heart soared. We might have triggered a chain reaction. The command carrier tore open in a final catastrophic detonation. Enormous fragments spun away. The Dominion central leadership crumbled. Terrified corvettes scattered. Warp coil spooling, Dittercow shouted. 10 seconds. Incoming frigates unleashed frantic salvos. Dawnbringer trembled. Colonel Hall gritted his teeth, pain in his eyes. At the last second, the warp portal shimmered. Dawnbringer vanished in a swirl, leaving the Dominion reeling in the chaos of their flagship's destruction. Dawnbringer reemerged at the edge of Earth's orbit, alarms wailing, hull breaches in multiple sections, life support failing in the lower decks, Colonel Hall injured. Dr. Patel frantically reconfiguring power, yet the triumphant news raced ahead. The Dominion flagship was gone. Observatories had witnessed the explosion. The rest of the fleet fell into disarray. Some ships fled. Others drifted. Uncertain how to proceed without central command. Across Earth and Luna, people erupted into celebration. Families hugged in bunkers. Soldiers cheered on cratered fortifications. Admiral Hollister wept openly in relief. For the first time, humanity felt the shadow recede. Dawnbringer limped into a stable orbit, then was towed to a space dock. Colonel Hall was carried off on a stretcher, arm bandaged, but he squeezed Erin's hand. We did it, he whispered, tears in his eyes. She nodded, voice shaking. Yes, we did. The crew disembarked to applause. General Yao arrived by shuttle, saluting their bravery. Dr. Cao was bombarded by requests to refine Guardian protocol for possible reuse. Dr. Patel clutched a battered datapad, half laughing with relief. Aaron walked through it all in a daze. They'd soared into the Dominion's heart and emerged victorious. Over half of her infiltration team from the first cruiser mission had survived. She remembered the fracturing carrier. The unstoppable threat had been stopped by humans, united in raw defiance. At the station's observation window, she looked down at Earth, a vibrant blue sphere bearing storms and life. The sun cast a gentle glow across the planet's curve. They had lost Mars, yes, but they had found something greater, the power of a determined species that refused to kneel. A month passed. Without its central leadership, the Dominion fleet withdrew beyond the solar system. Skirmishes still flared near Jupiter. Some Dominion captains, unwilling to concede, launched raids. Earth's forces, emboldened by their triumph, repelled them. The fight for survival slowly shifted into a cautious campaign of pursuit. Humanity refused to let the Dominion regroup. From the war's ashes rose a new drive for cosmic exploration. Freed from imminent doom, Earth's scientists and explorers set out to chart the region where the Dominion once held sway. Rumors persisted of entire star systems under Dominion rule, waiting for a savior. Perhaps it was time to ensure that no threat like the Dominion would ever rise again. Lieutenant Commander Aaron Duvall stood at the forefront of these talks. The newly formed Earth Alliance Command recognized her proven leadership. They offered her a promotion to captain, along with command of a retooled Dawnbringer. No longer a desperation weapon, but an exploration and diplomatic vessel. At first, she hesitated. The memories were fresh. Infiltration missions, losses, impossible choices. Still, forging a better future was a cause worth fighting for. She accepted. Colonel Hall recovered from his injuries, joined as strategic advisor. Dr. Ko became chief science officer. Master Chief Barnes stayed on as helmsman. Together, they would push beyond the solar system, following the Dominion's trail. Earth, once threatened, now sought alliances with other species. The dawn of a new era beckoned. On a clear morning above Earth, she stood in the station's docking bay, gazing at Dawnbringer's refurbished hull. Battle scars had been replaced by improved armor plating. The warp coil protruded from the stern, encased in protective shielding. Guardian protocol was integrated more seamlessly, a new defensive tool. Hall stepped up beside her. Amazing, isn't it? We were on the verge of being conquered. Now we're about to embark on humanity's first real journey into the unknown. She nodded slowly. Hard to believe, but we earned this. He regarded her thoughtfully. When Mars fell, I thought all hope was lost, but humans, we fight. We adapt. That's who we are. She let the memories flicker through her. The infiltration missions, the destruction of the Dominion flagship, the relief upon returning home. We have to see what lies beyond, she said quietly. Dawnbringer's departure from Earth orbit was a moment of global celebration. News feeds showed the patched-together starship gliding from the station, thrusters flaring bright. Crowds in cities and towns alike cheered as Captain Duvall's calm voice echoed over the networks. We go in peace, carrying Earth's resolve. We will not forget the lessons of this war, and we will not stand idle if others are threatened. The jump point for warp lay beyond the moon. Once aligned, Dawnbringer's coil formed a vortex of shimmering cosmic energy. In the command center, Colonel Hall and Dr. K checked the coordinates gleaned from captured Dominion charts. This path led to a system called Tralella, rumored to be a Dominion stronghold. On the bridge, Aaron Duvall gripped her seat, heart pounding. Initiate warp, she said. Master Chief Barnes eased the throttles. The swirling vortex enveloped them. Stars stretched, then blinked away. A flash, and they were gone from Earth's doorstep. They emerged in Tarella's orbit to see a dim star circled by rocky worlds. Sensors lit up with faint energy readings, possibly an abandoned Dominion outpost, possibly not abandoned. A large planet loomed, half-shrouded in dusty storms. Through deep scans, Dr. Cow found structures on the surface. Ruins or active complexes. Colonel Hall frowned at a weak comm signal. I'm picking up a faint transmission, non-Dominion frequency. Translating now. The signal repeated a call. Please, we are survivors. Dominion left us to die. Quiet shock rippled through the crew. Survivors? Alien or otherwise? Exactly why Earth had come. To help those still in the Dominion's shadow. Set a landing course, Aaron said. Colonel, gather an away team. They touched down on cracked pavement, the remnants of a once thriving city. Towering spires jutted from the wreckage, red dust swirled. The team wore environment suits, weapons holstered. Emerging from a battered structure, a group of pale green humanoids approached, tall, slender, wide-eyed with grief. One stepped forward. "You are not Dominion?" "No," Colonel Hall replied softly. "We're from Earth. The Dominion attacked us, but we fought back." Relief and sorrow flooded the alien's face. "Then you have done what we could not. We are Elysian. The Dominion conquered us. When they left, they destroyed our resources. We have been waiting for the end." Captain Duvall removed her visor, letting them see her human features. "We can offer help," she said. "Food, medicine, and maybe transport. But are there still Dominion forces here?" An Elysian elder pointed to the horizon. "A fortress remains. Automated defenses that fire on us if we approach. Many of our people have died. We do not know why the Dominion did not reclaim it." Aaron exchanged a look with Hall. "Possibly a leftover base. Clearing it would free the Elysian to rebuild. Earth might gain valuable allies." "We'll see what we can do," she promised. That day, Dawnbringer's away team ventured across the wasteland. They found a heavily fortified outpost bristling with turrets. Using infiltration routines like Guardian Protocol, they disabled the defenses from afar. Inside, they salvaged Dominion comm logs, advanced components, and discovered a partial star map showing other strongholds. The Ellison were both wary and grateful. Over shared rations in a ruined hall, they recounted how the Dominion had devastated their world. They described entire star clusters under Dominion rule. Aaron felt a surge of empathy. "We won't let that stand," she said. "Earth knows the Dominion's cruelty. We drove them away from our home. Now we want to help others do the same." Slowly, humanity's role in the galaxy shifted. No longer cowering, they roamed as liberators. Elysian joined them, sharing knowledge of Dominion tactics. Dawnbringer's med teams aided survivors. Engineers revived power grids. And in return, the Elysian taught them about the wider galactic order, fueling Earth's determination to stop Dominion tyranny everywhere. A year later, word had spread among subjugated species. Humans, unknown newcomers, had defied the Dominion, even destroyed their flagship. They traveled the stars in patchwork ships, offering aid. Some worlds dismissed it as myth. Others called it salvation. Rebellions flared. Sabotage of Dominion supply lines became rampant. The humans, with new allies like the Elysian, arrived whenever possible to tip the scales. Time and again, they proved their cunning and resolve. In Earth's solar system, reconstruction advanced. Memorials rose on Mars. Bunkers opened on Earth. Grief lingered, but unity endured. That unity extended outward, forging a loose coalition with each freed race, connected by warp paths. Together, they contained the Dominion's remnants, determined not to let them regroup into another terrifying threat. Captain Aaron Duvall, Colonel Hall, Dr. Cow, and Dawnbringer's crew stood at the forefront. Missions to liberate forced labor camps on distant moons, negotiations with distrustful reptilian warlords, deployments of Guardian Protocol to disable Dominion strongpoints. Again and again, humanity displayed a grit that astounded their newfound allies. No, humans were not the oldest or most advanced species, but they possessed an unbreakable will that even the Dominion feared. In a final confrontation near Helver Prime, the Dominion tried launching a counteroffensive. They mustered a ragtag fleet under secondary admirals hungry for power. The newly united coalition, humans, Elysian, and other freed peoples, met them in open space. A swirling inferno of lasers, missiles, and alien beams lit the stars. On Dawnbringer's bridge, Captain Duvall coordinated Allied maneuvers. Colonel Hall led boarding squads that captured Dominion cruisers mid-battle. Dr. Cato unleashed a final Guardian Protocol wave, frying the blockade formation. One by one, Dominion warships failed. Their biggest vessels, pounded by unstoppable combined fire, retreated in disgrace. Thus ended the war that had begun so grimly on Mars. When the guns finally fell silent, the galaxy felt changed. Formerly subjugated worlds rejoiced. Alien leaders approached humans with solemn thanks, forging alliances rather than begging for mercy. They hailed Earth not as a conqueror, but a liberator. Captain Aaron Duvall stood in an observation chamber on a new coalition station orbiting Helvar Prime. Through the wide window, she saw a tapestry of ships from dozens of species, each bearing its own vibrant design. Once, these species might never have met. Now they were bound by a shared victory and a hope for the future. Colonel Hall limped slightly from a fresh wound, but he smiled at her side. We did what they called impossible. Earth was supposed to be just another Dominion trophy. She rested a hand on the metal railing. Memories of infiltration missions and heartbreak flickered through her mind. We lost so much, yet we discovered our strength. Maybe that's humanity's story. When faced with destruction, we transcend our limits. He nodded, and we're not alone. Dr. K arrived, data pads in hand. Captain, the Alisane want a formal defense treaty. The Corran delegation hopes to open an embassy on Earth, and the Freed Our Story are inviting us to an interspecies cultural festival. Aaron let out a laugh that was half disbelief, half joy. So many new possibilities. Let's not keep them waiting. We have a galaxy to rebuild. In that bright, uncertain tomorrow, the name Earth carried new weight. No longer a backwater planet, it had revealed an astonishing power, courage, unity, and ingenuity. Even when outgunned, the war to save humanity had grown into a fight for every life, overshadowed by Dominion tyranny. Now, in place of fear, there shone a spark of possibility that could light the depths of space. Humanity stood, humanity endured, and in the face of the greatest threat it had ever known, humanity defied the odds. The conflict was far from the last challenge Earth would face, yet from the ashes rose a new age, written not by despair, but by a singular refrain cherished on countless worlds.